This slide, I think, talks to this in quite nice detail. It illuminates some of the thinking and some of the decision making that has taken place, certainly in some of the customer organizations that we work with in recent years, and I suspect it may be something that you will personally associate with in terms of your own experience. What we're looking at here is a slide that is put forward by Gartner. It's part of their analysis of IT metrics, and it talks about the proportion of spend on IT in terms of income. So industry by industry, how much are people spending on IT? Where does that spend go? And how does it differ across the board? And what you can see here is that on an industry by industry basis, there is quite a spread. And I think the point is that cloud computing both is a catalyst to that analysis and also a means to navigate your way through it. It most certainly, in our opinion, offers the means to improve the IT services that you provide in a manner that is more cost effective and that allows you to reduce the budget that you dedicate to IT as a means to do that. So certainly some of our customers have been through a process of analysing their IT as a means to say, well, is there a base percentage point or indeed a whole percentage point that we can take out of our budget by engaging cloud services and improving return on investment for our shareholders as a means of doing so. So that's, I think, illuminates some of the thinking that's taking place in the market as to why cloud is being considered right now. I think one of the other things that's true of this is that in the marketplace, our expectations of technology have also changed. So as individuals, yes, we are engaged in the workplace, we have our lives as professionals, but we are all consumers at the same time. And the devices that we carry and the applications that we use on an individual and a personal basis have moved on significantly, and those applications that we rely on, I think, are influencing and dictating the expectations that we have of applications in business. Consumer applications on the web are setting customer expectations. We believe, we see this, that business software needs to offer a user interface that is as intuitive, as compelling, that it needs to be what we're calling here consumer grade. It needs to be as easy to use. For those of you who are old enough like me to remember the campaign, Martini access will mean something to you. For those of you that are not, what we're talking about here is applications that are available anytime, any place, anywhere. We have to support a more productive workflow for the individual. That is simply the benchmark. If we're not doing that, then we're failing to deliver the applications that people expect. Those applications need to be simple but powerful, and we take that power for granted, but that's the reality of the world that we live in now. We need to deliver business solutions, not IT projects, and in doing that, the businesses that we work with will expect to pay as we go rather than up front. That's the perspective in terms of our individual experience as consumers of technology. So let's move on then to types of cloud, beginning with infrastructure as a service. So I'm not going to dwell on this too much. As I say, we run a series of seminars that go into these things in a bit more detail, but the principle here is that you can buy cloud computing horsepower on demand. Instead of going and provisioning technology for a new application that you want to build, you can simply say, this is the type of machine that I want, and I want as many of those types of machines as I need, when I need them, and when I don't need them, I don't want to pay for them. And that is the infrastructure available to you as a service. The next in the range of types of service is platform, and that is the same principle: computers available on demand, compute horsepower available on demand, but with an operating system, a application development environment built in. So you're paying for all of that as a bundled service in exactly the same way. You pay for what you need when you need it, and when you don't need it anymore, you stop paying for it. It is on consumption. And then lastly, software as a service, which is perhaps best understood in all of these three core cloud service types. Software as a service is the concept that instead of buying a new application, which you have to run internally, which you have to provision internally, resource and support internally, you can subscribe to that as a service where that service is offered by the market. And the commercial model for that is based on a monthly subscription fee, and that's all you need to know. That's pretty much how the market works. That's become a very well-established model in the market, and that is largely dictating how IT services are provisioned. And interestingly, what's happening is that people are taking advantage of this so that they can run and provide better applications for their users out of an operational budget, thereby freeing up capital expenditure to focus on precisely the core business expansion that I talked about a moment ago. So what we're seeing here is a rebalancing, a settling out of how IT spend is targeted across subscription services on the one hand, innovative and agile application development using things like infrastructure and platform as a service on the other, and investment in the core business. In practice, what this means is, and this is really what this seminar or this webinar is about, is the concept of a new world of work. We are at a point where there is a new paradigm, a new opportunity, and a new basic level of expectations that dictate how we will deliver IT services to our users across business and the public sector going forward. It's what we call the new world of work. So abstract yourself from all of the debates and the considerations of the technology and think about who's going to be using it for a minute and who's going to be buying it and who's going to be delivering it in your organization. And it is different than what has gone before to some extent. I will revisit that statement as we go through because I think this is a slide that could apply to probably a number of the cloud platforms that are available on the market. I think what's different with Microsoft is that this is not a break from a complete change. This is not implying some kind of downgrade or disconnect from the investments that you have already made. Quite the reverse. This is a logical and a pragmatic extension of those investments in a way that gives you more options and that can be engaged in the time frame that is right for you as an organization, which is precisely why we think it is the best available on the market and that it is fit for the times that we're experiencing. But so our analysis of this new world of work is that it affects these four different communities in organizations in separate ways. So what do we mean by that? Well, the business user, the IT worker, those in finance that pay for these things and consider the business case for them, and senior executives that are running the organizations that we all work for and the challenges that they have. If we focus on these individually, for the business user, going back to the point I made a moment ago, the devices that we carry mean that these sorts of adjectives describe our expectations of the applications that we're given and expected to use. And if we're not given the applications that we want and that make our lives more productive and that offer the sort of intuitive interface, it's quite likely that we will act unilaterally and go and get other applications that we do want. I'm afraid that's the reality. Mandating to people applications that they have to use is something that, where we might have succeeded with that in the past, it's increasingly a challenge to work that way and probably not the right thing to do. The reality is that people have a minimum expectation set, and this is the benchmark, this is the level that we all need to aim at in terms of the applications that we develop and the services that we deliver to people. It is about making our time more productive. It is about making the workflow between applications more seamless and more transparent. So then, in fact, what you're presented with as a user is a series of technologies in a simple, common interface that looks the same, that feels the same, that allows you to get things done. For IT, you could say that we've been through, over the last few years, some of the most challenging circumstances for IT that perhaps has been the case in our lifetimes. Things have changed, and they have changed in a fairly fundamental way, not least of which is those expectations that I've just referred to in terms of the business. But more particularly at a more basic level, I think a lot of people we talk to, IT budgets are a fraction of what they were, and yet IT is more important to business than it ever has been. Do we work in an environment where there is less technology or there is more? There is certainly more. We work in markets where the importance of the digital marketplace is ever growing. We need to engage in these things, and IT is the means to do it. I think actually what we're witnessing is the liberation of IT, so that instead of having to run all and provide all services to organizations, it can focus on the things that a given organization needs in order to differentiate it in the marketplace and to drive its business forward. So IT, I think, will change so that it is absolutely the strategic resource that engages and takes advantage of cloud computing at a level that is right for the organization in question, and at the same time is driving the innovation around new applications and digital routes to market that are critical to a given organization. So although for some IT people they see cloud computing as a threat, and it has been disruptive, most certainly, I would contend that cloud computing represents the greatest opportunity for IT in a generation. We have some work to do to get that message across in the manner that it is universally understood and accepted, but certainly